Joining us now to discuss Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio. He is a member of that group known as the Republican Main Street Caucus. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And for folks who don't know, you've also been a mayor, right? You've been in positions that are very much going to be affected by what happens in this bill. So I'm really interested to know, do you have concerns about how Republicans in the Senate are changing the bill that you all voted on in the House just weeks ago?
Sure. Well, Kasie, I appreciate it. And that call is going on as you and I are on today, so I won't know the specifics of it. But I do think that overall there will be broad support for what's occurring. And first off, foundationally, what's important about this bill is this really does encapsulate what's important in President Trump's policy issues, both capturing from his first term the important foundational tax structures that have kept the economy going of his tax plan, and then those policy issues that he both campaigned on, the promises that he's made that are important to keep our economy growing, jobs creation, those economic investments that are important that he has really seen that I think will lead the economy. And of course, those important spending priorities that go to national security, what he sees both for investments in our national defense, but also the border security provisions that are going to be absolutely essential to keeping our country safe. Of course, I do have concerns. There are issues that go to those things where we do have both, which we look to those portions where we look at having a heart. How do we care for others? But there are, I think, protections in this bill overall as we look to where there are going to be cuts, where there are going to be savings, of where people are going to be having decisions that they can make to ensure that these cuts don't fall upon them. And I think in those aspects that our communities are going to have some protections.
Have you heard from constituents at home that they're worried about losing their health care after this passes?
Well, there are some concerns. Certainly, I'm hearing from the hospitals locally, and I do think certainly in the area of Medicare and Medicaid, certainly in the Medicaid provisions, there are concerns. But even in this area, is the work requirements that are being put in place, a lot of those issues where there's concerns, and you're seeing where some of the cuts fall in areas where there's projections that people might lose healthcare coverage because there'll be individuals where there'll be work requirements who might choose not to go and get jobs, go and perform work, that the American people feel that individuals should go and enter into the workplace, that they might lose their health care under Medicaid, that those people should avail themselves of other opportunities. I think those values are such that the American people believe that people should enter into the workforce.
Sir, I do want to change gears because, of course, of your position on the Armed Services Committee. We saw some attacks from Russia against Ukraine over the weekend. Ukraine's air defenses are strained. We did hear that President Trump is weighing sending additional Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine. Do you think he's waited too long to do that? Do you want to see him do that?
Well, I think obviously we should give Ukraine everything that they need. They are fighting gallantly, and they are doing so really for democracy and for Europe. And I think these are the principles, of course, that our country stands for. That's why we have supported them in this defense against Russian aggression. And certainly, it's aggression that is not just a conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It is Russia against democratic values and against Europe itself, and of course the Western values, and of course that includes the United States. So yes, I think we should stand with them, and we should provide them the assistance that they need.
Do you think that the president has been too trusting of Russian President Vladimir Putin?
I think that the president has been trusting that Vladimir Putin is going to come to the table. And the fact that Vladimir Putin has not done so, I think the president is losing his patience. I think the president, rightly so, should now turn to putting additional pressure on Russia. I think the movement by Senator Lindsey Graham to put increasing sanctions on Russia should move forward in both the Senate and the House, giving the president options to impact economically Russia, giving them the tools, I think, really to make it more difficult for Putin to continue this aggression against Ukraine.
All right, Congressman Mike Turner, so grateful for your time today,
Thank you so
sir.
much.
Thanks very much for being here. I hope you come back.